But I just want to read a fucking police report, from
Right.
fucking 1985. That's not that far ago. Like, I'm sure you assholes can dig that up. And if you can't, what the fuck kind of a shitty town are we running here where you don't have, like, police reports from when people died? Like, and not even, like, died of old age, like I don't know, in the very fishy circumstances. I don't know. Can
we get into that a little bit or what?
If you'd like to, sure.
Yeah, I would like to. What can we start with? Like, what is the basic story?
Yeah, let me start you from the beginning. Okay, when my dad was a teacher, and a really talented guy. At the time when I was 6 years old, he was. I'm not sure if he was. I think he was actually married at this point to a second wife now.
So him and your mother were separated.
They were split, very recently. And this woman's name was Sarah. And he was married. I'm pretty sure they were legally married to her. And, occasionally on weekends, from my vague childhood recollections, I would go and visit them. But when I was 6, my dad committed suicide and he shot himself.
Was he, and while he was still with this?
While he was living with her. Now, her brother was a Willow Springs policeman.
What was his name?
I don't know his name. Like, I don't, I'm just telling you what I know about it. And when I tried to find out more, they wouldn't fucking let me know.
That's very interesting because the Willow Springs Police Department covered up some very famous murders in the 80s.
Okay, well, maybe my dad's one of them because, I don't know, it just seems fishy. Like, he was an alcoholic and maybe a depressed person like his younger son. Right. But you know what I mean? I don't know, it just seems weird. Here's what happened. His body was moved, the gun was moved. The cop that is her brother was supposedly on the scene for an hour before any ambulances or anything else showed up. She didn't call the police. She called her brother first, and he came.
And the gun was moved.
The gun was moved. He was moved.
And this was in their home. Happened in Willow Springs.
Yeah, where that brewery here in town is now under the bridge.
For people out of town, we're talking Willow Springs, Illinois, right outside Chicago. Under the bridge over by.
There's that brewery. That's where my dad's house used to be. They ripped houses down over there. Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking in like an old creepy little area under
the bridge.
Yeah, that was actually coincidentally, you're talking about 100 yards from where the chief of the Willow Springs Police Department dumped the body of his wife with the help of another guy. I think his name was Mike Corcoran, and he ended up writing a book about this whole thing.
I don't think that's her brother, no.
No. But my uncle is a lawyer and has a law, what do you call it, firm? I don't know.
Yeah, law firm.
Yeah,
office.
with a former cop from this town who busted that murder case open. So where you're talking about is literally 100 yards away from where they dumped that body in that case. And that's a well-documented case. You can read the book. I forget what it's called, but I think the guy's name was Mike Corcoran, who is he went to jail or Mike Corbett or something.
Corbett. That's the name.
Is it?
That's who you're thinking of anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Corbett's her brother, but Corbett.
Oh, I got real excited for a second.
No. No.
Yeah, Mike Corbett is the name.
Yeah,
is that okay? So he wrote a book about the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Now, where you're talking about is literally right there.
My dad knew him.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's how I know his name.
These are murderers. Then that they covered up murders, confirmed.
So you're saying so the official story is that
it was
the brother showed up on the scene. It was clearly a suicide.
All right, now let's get on top of this thing. Matt's dad is divorced from his mom. He's dating a woman.
Well, they were married.
Or they were married.
I'm 98% sure they were married.
And her brother
living together.
Her brother was part of a police force that's known for covering up murders at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, it just seems weird.
Okay,
he's a cop. He shows up. He should know better than to be moving bodies, moving guns, fucking chilling out for an hour before anybody else shows up. What the fuck are you doing?
How did you know that happened?
I just was filled in by this stuff
by your mom
last year by my mom.
And is she suspicious of the whole thing?
Not really.
No.
But that's why I'm like, maybe I'm just being weird. But because she knew the man. He killed himself. It doesn't seem that weird to her. Maybe, that's why. Like,
is there any motive for his wife to, did he have money? Did he have assets?
Not really. They were just they're both drunks.
Okay.
I'm just suspecting
Drunks with a gun.
drunks with guns.
Yeah.
That's what I suspect.
But the gun was his.
Yeah, one of his many guns.
So, but it could have been like
Accessible in the home.
But like what?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Worst case scenario.
Like under
there's-
his pillow. I mean,
There's a drunken argument. She kills him, calls her brother, and says, "You got to get over here. I just
Right.
fucked up really bad." He comes over and goes, "Oh fuck, what are we gonna do?
right.
We got to make this look like a suicide."
And I've also just heard different.
Before we get way out too far ahead
No,
of ourselves,
no.
I'm just saying that could be the theory.
That's
yeah.
kind of what
Right.
I'm thinking, and also I wanted to see the death certificate and all the reports because it's like I keep hearing different stories about where exactly the trajectory of the bullet was. Ever since childhood, I was told that he put a gun in his mouth, but then I've also heard that I remember the funeral, and I'm like his head was intact. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. And I've
I
also
wonder
heard
if-
other tales that there was a bullet hole that they had to cover up in the side of his head. And it's like, well, if there's a bullet hole in the side of his head, you don't put a gun in your mouth on a fucking weird angle so that it comes out at your temple. So did he put a gun to the side of his head or was it in his mouth?
it may be, saying that someone
Holy
put
shit.
the gun in their mouth is kind of like an idiom for implying suicide.
Right, that's what I mean.
more
But
than-
so
more
was
than a
it
gun
or
to the
not?
head.
I'm just trying to find
No,
out what
and
the facts are.
I can also tell you from my experience, I had a friend in high school who hung himself, and it caused a great deal of damage to the structural integrity of his face. And I know that because his mother found him and told me what it was like when she found him. And when he had an open casket at his funeral, surprisingly, and
Right.
they had reconstructed everything in a very, very convincing way.
That's true. No, my friend Mike was in a real bad car
especially
accident.
So yeah, it could be
as a
but yeah.
post-mortem thing, it can be, I mean, they could have rebuilt.
But a 45 in your mouth, I would think would just blow the back of your head open.
So
Yeah.
There's nothing,
so
know.
as a kid, you were told this was definite suicide.
I mean,
no
maybe
question
like once
about it.
again, you got to keep in mind this is things I was told as a kid.
Right.
Your childhood recollections and the way that you perceive the world and everything. It's really hard for me to look back on and know, okay, what was said exactly to me and what did I take from it? I can only say what I took from it. So that's why I've been trying to just get last summer, I was trying to get the facts on this shit, but I'm not willing to pay $175
Well, and
to find out.
It should be accessible. That should just be accessible information for you.
Yeah, I
You
think
sh-
so.
You shouldn't have to pay that money.
Right.
You know what? If you go through, I mean, if you bug them enough and you talk to the right detective, you might be able to get it. But what's even more tantalizing about that is there some reason they don't want you to
Yeah.
Maybe,
find it? You know,
but I don't want to. I don't want to start thinking that way.
Right.
I just think it's just money bullshit right now.
I don't know,
This
dude.
is
I'm pretty.
interesting. Let's,
I'm pretty. My curiosity is pretty piqued by the fact that her brother was a cop at a department that was known for covering up
That's
murders.
that's the
You
thing
know, I
that
mean,
set me off. And then my mom was like, "Yeah, and this and that," but it sound. And I was like, "That doesn't sound weird."
And don't forget, this whole area out here, this department was basically set up to help. I forget what family, but it was set up by the mob, And that guy Mike Corbett was, I think, a mobster, basically that they sent to
Handpicked.
they sent him to the police academy so they'd have a guy on the inside. The Willow Springs Police Department. For people who don't know, man, it's well documented. Look into it. These guys were the real deal, fucking corrupt killers.
Bastone. Sal Bastone.
Okay,
Put him
yeah.
in power.
So I mean, this is pretty nuts.
I want to help you pursue this. Are you interested in
Yeah, I am. I
Let's,
absolutely am.
I'm going to set up a GoFundMe. Our listeners at home, we're going to set up a GoFundMe, raise some money so we can get these documents. Everybody can chip in. We're going to take this one step further for our friend Matt.
Awesome.
We only need, what, $50?
Something like that. It wasn't that much.
That's
It's
not
just
much.
more than I have, honestly. And like I said, I also felt it should be free to me, and I kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't feel that way.
Well, we should definitely figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta fucking have some big questions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to start with getting my hands on the death certificate
See
and
if
the
there's
police
anything
report.
really
That's
there.
only 2 documents, so it should only be like you said, like $50.
Yeah.
But I might have to get some more stuff after that. But let's start there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
God damn.
Well, that's fucking crazy.
right? Because then at least I'll just have here's the facts. Here's the actual cause of death. Here's how that was, and here's the official police report. That would just be good.
Yeah, and I wonder if the official police report has any indication of what you know,
Right,
which is
about-
that
So your
he
mom,
waited.
but your mom knows for sure that like she called her brother first, and he came over, and there was some span of time that passed before the actual.
She does. I don't recall exactly what her source on that is, but she was also friends with a lot of the Willow Springs police back
But
in those days.
for people also who are out of town or whatever, I mean, the nature of this town, especially back then, it's very fucking tiny. It was practically a rural town back then.
Like I said, we have a well.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's it's people talk and things get around. You know, that is incredibly eerie.
yeah, it's very eerie, and it's fishy.
All right.
fishy.
So I'm not like paranoid or crazy. This whole
No,
thing
not
does
at
seem a
all.
little. It's like
It seems weird.
Well, dude, anytime I like that, just what I've already said a million times. I keep saying it over and over. I mean, it's just what leaps to my mind, especially because like this area is so well known for being a place you could make someone disappear, make a body disappear, get something done with the local law enforcement, whatever you need to do. You know.
But he wasn't involved in organized crime or anything.
He
It
didn't
was
have
just
to be,
a
though,
lover's
but-
quarrel kind of a thing, is what I'm thinking.
That's what I mean. But it would be a corrupt enough place that something like that might be totally within the realm of possibility.
Or it could be exactly what I've been told. It wouldn't
Could
be
be.
out of the realm of real because, I'm bipolar. You know what I mean? Like my dad was always a very melancholy alcoholic man. Like I'm much like him according to people that have met me and who knew him like when he was my age. They're
Sure.
like, wow, you're a lot like your dad. Like
So nobody was really said, hey, this was way out of character that he would do that.
No. So I want to keep that in mind.
Okay.
Like it's not like mine. It's not like if the happiest guy in town, and then he turns out he was a dope fiend and he OD'd, and you're like, no, dude,
Right.
You
Yeah.
that guy's a
liar.
straight edge. Like yeah.
no,
Was your
does
dad
this-
into drugs at all, or that you know of?
I
or
mean,
no?
not hard drugs.
Nah, yeah, nothing I wouldn't do.
Smoked hash,
Yeah.
and did stuff. I don't
But
know.
his wife alleges to have been home at the time.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
See, and that seems weird to me too. I feel like people are less likely to commit suicide when a family member is in the house.
Yeah, and at like 4 a.m. or like 3
Yeah.
a.m.
See, but at
That's
that
when
time,
drunken-
Late drink.
that's-
yeah, that
these are
seems-
drinking.
That's like
hours.
naked lovers quarrel time.
Right.
yeah. Wow.
Like
That
fucking breaking glass naked time.
Yeah. See why like the time of it, just a lot of these little things I'm just like, yeah, I mean it doesn't seem that weird and it doesn't seem like it's not, you know what I mean? But it just at the same time, I'm not one of those people that has a hard time like swallowing that. It's not that I I don't want to believe that my dad killed himself. I just don't want to believe it. Like that's not true. Like I don't think people that commit suicide are cowardly. In fact, I think quite the opposite. Like you're pretty fucking committed. Like I've always said that. Like people are always like, oh, well, that's the coward's way out. Not at all. The coward's way out is laying in a hospital bed, clinging to dear fucking life when you're not really living. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
I
that's,
kind of agree with that,
That's
too.
cowardly. Fucking kill yourself.
You're gonna die one day anyways.
Right.
I always kind of did think like, wow, people who can really make that decision, and not in a dramatic, oh, my girlfriend left me situation, but
There's-
like
there's bullshit reasons.
in a way, and But although, do you ever have the feeling like, that your dad wouldn't have killed himself, because he had kids?
I mean, all I can say, he was an abusive alcoholic.
So you weren't that fond of him anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
not like you don't
I
care that
mean,
he died, but
No, I mean it's like on one hand, yeah, he was a very talented, man and a smart man, an intelligent man, but he was also like a very abusive alcoholic and a very troubled man.
Do you ever talk to your siblings about this?
Well, the only siblings I have are my older brother, and
Oh,
he
you only have one,
fucking
okay.
hated the guy because he kicked the shit out of him his whole life.
How old was he when he died?
Well, he's 10 years, he's 16,
So your brother was 16 when your dad died.
15, 16.
Okay. And to his recollection, he says, "Fuck that."
Yeah,
guy.
he fucking hated that guy. I mean, I could tell you some stories. Like one time, here's one of the times I remember when they originally split up, and this is one of my earliest childhood memories. My brother and I had to go over to my dad's apartment at the time, which was in the same kind of locale. There used to be also apartments over there. And we went there, and I remember when we got there, my dad went in the bathroom to like shave or something, after we had like a little kind of a dinnery thing. And my brother put me on his back And we walked to the Willow Springs police station, and my brother was like, he like, was slapping the shit out of both of us and stuff, which was a lie. This was a total lie.
Wait, so your brother took you to the police station and made up a story about your dad?
Yeah, which was a total lie, but he fucking hated the guy. And my mom's told me stories about, my dad hitting my brother, and I have.
How weird.
I don't have any memories of him.
You don't even really know what the truth is. Huh?
No, I don't. But I know for a fact from my very earliest childhood memory that the man was a absolutely monster of a drunk.
Okay.
My first memory, my childhood memory from like being 3 or 4, is of my mom and dad having an argument around the kitchen table about writing friends a letter or something. And she snaps the letter up from him, and he chased her around the table. And as a little kid, I remember I was hiding under the table, and he like knocked her down, punched her, or threw her to the floor, was like yelling, and he was drunk. And I remember I had just gotten out of the bathtub, and it was cold outside, but my brother, my mom, and myself had to go outside and sit on the front stoop, and I just had a towel wrapped around me, and it was cold, and he was fucking destroying the house. You could just hear like, this is my house kind of shouts and shit like that, and just furniture fucking being flung around, and then I remember the cops came a couple hours later, and they drove me and my brother to my grandparents' house, and I don't really remember much else from that.
So that's the kind of memories you have of him.
Yeah, those are. Well, I have some nicer memories of my dad. Like when he was living there before he died or whatever. I mean, I have memories of him that aren't bad. I mean, he wore a toupee because he was completely bald. Like, I don't have like real lush thick hair, but by the time he was my age, he was completely bald. So he always wore a toupee. And I remember one morning his toupee was like mega fucking crooked. And he made a joke about it. And I mean, I remember him giving me some advice that I can never remember. And just, you know what I mean? It wasn't, right. It wasn't like.
But those moments existed.
Right. He wasn't a terrible person. He just was a bad drunk, but he drank a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But again, no real, nothing sticks out as to why somebody might have a motive to kill him. Huh?
No. But I mean, maybe he was smacking her around too. And she was like, fuck that. I don't know.
Sure.
That could be the case too. I don't really remember much about her.
I mean, who knows what she had to hide?
Right. She was a drunk. She was an alcoholic too.
And
were they together for a long time?
Only maybe like a year or two.
Oh, is that it?
Maybe only. Yeah. I don't know when their affair would have started. You'd have to ask my mom about that kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah. But what I'm wondering is like, is there a life insurance thing? Was there,
I don't know.
Yeah. Now that's.
He had a Jaguar that I never inherited. My brother never inherited, like a really nice metallic green 60s sports car. The Jaguar, the British Jaguar.
Wow.
Jaguar.
Yeah, I should have like a really nice car, but I suppose she got that.
I wonder if this bitch got away with murder.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm curious to find out.
And you know what? A year is a conceivable length of time to hide a huge problem.
To hide craziness.
To hide incredible debt,
right?
Ties to somebody that
Sure.
An unsavory character, a drug problem, even could be hidden for a year.
She always
from
looked
somebody
haggard to me
who's
as a
always
kid
drunk.
Yeah, I mean, and this is an area that's full of drugs and scumbags and stuff like that. Not so much as it used to be.
But she was also a
was back
teacher.
then.
She was also a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Was she? That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
No,
and there's a lot of them that are drunks and druggies and shitheads, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them who don't make very much money and might try to get themselves involved in other ways to make money.
All right, so you want to start a GoFundMe?
Yeah, I would definitely.
I want to stay with this story. I want to know what happens. I'm so on the hook.
Well, I'm definitely happy to share it.
Yeah.
How are we going to get that for our listeners? Because we want to get these documents.
Well,
we need to. If you're
right
just
here in
joining
town.
us, Matt Geer here has some suspicion that all might not be accurate with the story he's been told about his dad's suicide.
Somewhat mysterious suicide.
And
this was in the 80s. You said
1984, 1985.
Okay.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds to me like there's fucking something there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
me too. That sounds sketchy.
I mean, just the fact that she calls the brother first, and her brother is a Willow Springs cop. I mean,
That's enough.
that's enough
Right.
to at least explore it further. So how are we gonna get this done?
All right, I will tomorrow morning, first thing, I'm going to set up a GoFundMe page. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it is a free donation site where you can donate any amount of money to help our cause. You can follow along with our story as a reward for that. And I don't know, maybe we'll have a raffle with people who donate and give something away to somebody. That's
But how are we
usually
gonna get
these
it out
things
to
work.
people? We'll have to just keep talking about it on the show. I
We'll keep
guess.
talking about it on the show. We'll share it on our Facebook.
It's only like $50.
We really only need like $50. We just got to get 2 documents, but we shouldn't have to fucking pay for them because we're entitled to that information.
Why don't we just
so
like
help
ask
us out.
everybody we know? It's just like $3 each.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing, but we're just going to use a website.
I guess
for
we need to get used to doing this anyways because we want to do a few other things with GoFundMe. So
Yeah.
this will be our first one. It'll be
So
easy,
this is an easy
very
goal.
easy target. Yeah.
This is a high reward too. You guys are going to get a great story out of this. I cannot wait to see what we can learn about this.
At the very least, it'll just be bare facts about my father's suicide, which I'm happy to share as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool. All right, you guys keep an eye out for that then.
Sex
we'll
and
get
gore
that-
cells.
Get that put together for you.
All right. Well,
That would be great,
thanks
honestly.
for opening
I
up
would,
about
I would
that.
love
Yeah,
that.
thank you for sharing that with us.
No,
That's
absolutely.
incredibly
For
interesting.
sharing that, Matt.
I just kind of gave up on it last year because of the money. And part of me was like, I don't really know if I want to know, but I've been thinking about it again, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like
now,
to know.
Now we got some momentum here. We got
right.
Yeah.
So no, I'm definitely now I want to know because really, like I said, it's just based on what I've been told and my own childhood recollections, which are childhood recollections. They're not accurate.
And picturing where you told me they live, where he's talking about is underneath like a highway bridge,
Yeah,
basically.
it's a fishy area.
And it's a very creepy little area, and especially picturing it back then before because now there's like modern buildings back there and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't like that then.
back then. It was probably just desolate and dark
It was
and lonely.
It was the bridge. Yeah, I remember I used to play under the bridge a lot.
Living
as a
under the
kid.
bridge, yeah.
Yeah, and there were apartments and a couple houses, and it seemed like a very unincorporated area, but it was Willow Springs. It was just like off the grid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by a very shitty dump bar that's not there anymore that people used to call the Animal House.
Well, and there was a lot of bikers around back then.
Oh, yeah.
a lot of gangs and shit.
Do you remember that bar by any chance that used to be on the corner there?
I wasn't from around here. No.
Oh, okay. I remember that place very well from my childhood.
So I don't know. We're gonna have to come back to that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you guys stick with us. Go find us on Facebook or whatever. We will keep the GoFundMe going.
Yes.
And we'll put this segment up to fill people in, and we're gonna find out if our buddy Matt Geer's father was murdered or indeed committed suicide on that lonely night under the bridge back in 1985.
All right.
All right.
Good setup.
Let's before we go to the break, let's do this one last video.
Yeah.